Hey folks, Aman here from daoStar. This is video 3 of a video series created by daoStar on EIP 4824. In this video, we'll be looking at how your DAO can go about publishing a DAO URI. In the previous videos, we spoke about the rationale behind the standard and how to create a DAO URI for your DAO. This is the third and final video of the series in which we'll be looking at different ways of publishing the created DAO URI. But before going into the details, know that you can read the standard anytime by going to eips.ethereum.org and searching for EIP 4824 or by going to daostar.one/EIP. To generate a DAO URI, as we discussed in the previous video, you can utilize the register service at daostar.org/register. All the contract addresses related to the standard are on our GitHub. And for any doubts regarding the standard and for any assistance you may need in adopting and learning more about it, feel free to contact me, Johnny Pirovich, or Joshua Tan via Telegram. With that out of the way, let's get into this video. So as I described to you, the first step in adopting EIP 4824 is creating a DAO URI which holds information about your DAO. For more details on how you can easily create a DAO URI, please watch the last video. I'm going to start off from the assumption that you have understood how you can create a DAO URI, and now you are looking to learn more about the step 2, which is publishing the DAO URI. Now, step 2 is actually much more easier than step 1. So we are going to be publishing or writing your DAO URI on chain, and it's actually a very simple contract registration. All you need to do is interact with this contract called EIP 4824 registration summoner. Its address is this on the Ethereum blockchain. It is also deployed on other chains, and you can find those contract addresses on our GitHub. If it is not deployed on a chain of your choice, please reach out to us and we will make sure that the registration summoner is deployed there. And all you need to do is call summon registration on the registration summoner. And how this works is actually quite simple to see. If you look here, what really happens when you interact with this registration summoner is once a DAO calls summon registration, this registration factory deploys a separate smart contract which stores your DAO URI. So in a sense, EIP 4824 adoption is a simple smart contract deployment transaction. All we're trying to do is create a standalone smart contract to store your DAO's DAO URI. So the registration contract can handle any number of DAOs depending on your DAO's address and the salt that you gave in your registration call. It would deploy a smart contract for your DAO and store your DAO URI inside it. Now I can show you how exactly this goes very briefly. For example, if your DAO operates on a multi-sig, snapshot plus multi-sig configuration, all you need to do is click on new transaction and click on transaction builder. And once you have transaction builder, you need to input the name of the registration factory here. It can be found by going to the daoStar GitHub. Once you have this, you just need to input it here, and it would automatically load the ABI. And under the method, you need to select summon registration. Now, once you select summon registration, you need to input these values for transacting. Salt can be any bytes 32 value, but it is recommended that you use this salt that you received here, or you can also use your own salt. This is the DAO URI that we received. So I'll enter the DAO URI here. I'll enter the salt here. Manager, this function, registration function, also lets you set a manager. We'll go into what a manager does and how you can choose a manager in the next slide. Contracts and data can be empty sets because we already have contracts and data inside the DAO URI, so you do not need to separately add this here. And yeah, once these are filled and you click on add transaction, that's it. Your registration will go through. The case is very similar even if you're using a compound governor or something similar, under custom action, you need to input the address of the registration factory and choose summon registration and input these values. And, that's your transaction. So it is actually not that difficult. EAP 4824 adoption is actually pretty straightforward. All you need to do is create a daoURI and execute this very simple transaction to store it on chain. Uh, Now, the registration contract has two roles. One is of a manager and the other is of an admin. The manager can only update the daoURI. That address does not have any other privileges. An admin can add or remove managers as well as add or remove admins. So if your DAO is completely on chain, which or if contract actions always mandate a governance proposal, then we suggest that you set a manager. This will make it easy for you to handle DAO URI updates in the future. We envision them to be infrequent, but we still suggest you to have a manager so that updates will be quite easy. So the manager role can be delegated to a working group within the DAO or even DAO star when you register your DAO URI. And once the registration contract is deployed, you can set additional managers in the future as well as additional admins in the future as the DAO sees fit. Now, this method that I just showed you, by adopting EIP 4024 by deploying a registration contract on chain, that is only one of the methods for adopting EIP 4024. But from our point of view, that is the suggested method. There are also other ways in which you can adopt EIP 4024. For example, if your DAO is using an EIP 4024 compliant governance framework, then chances are that then obviously that framework already returns EIP 4024 compliant data regarding your DAO. I can show you an example. Snapshot is an example. So Snapshot has this endpoint called EIP 4024. And if you enter the ENS of any verified snapshot space, it would return EIP 4024 compliant data. You can try this for any other verified space and it would return you the data. Similar is the case with frameworks like Aragon and daoDAO, Moloch, and a few others that have adopted EIP 4024. But one potential drawback here is that Snapshot and Aragon and all these other frameworks can only publish data that they have about your DAO. They may not have a very accurate description of your DAO. They may not have all the contracts that your DAO uses, owns, or controls. So they will only return data that they have. So if your DAO wishes to return more data and to retain control of the DAO URI, we suggest you publish it, irrespective of whether the governance framework you use is already EIP 4024 compliant. Now, we are working with the ENS DAO to create an adoption pathway through ENS text records, as well as with the Optimism Foundation to create an adoption pathway through the Ethereum attestation service. These two are not ready yet, but they will be quite soon. So, check back in a few weeks and these might be ready. Now, if there is no provision of publishing your DAO URI on chain, you can also publish your DAO URI off chain. For example, you can make it an off chain ES attestation, or publish it on GitHub of your DAO, or just maintain an endpoint on your own. The tricky part there would be indexing. All the other people, or at least DAOstar, needs to know that you are choosing this route. So please update us if this is something that you're doing, and we will get back to you on how we can support that particular method. So as I mentioned, if you use the registration factory method for deployment, it has certain advantages. One very important advantage is that the DAO URI hence published is 100% owned, managed, controlled by your DAO. So your DAO can decide what kind of data goes into it. Your DAO can decide when to update it. Your DAO can decide who gets to control it, etc. And typically, when it comes to your own data, I and DAOster believe that The DAO is the best maintainer for its own data. So if there is a provision for publishing a DAO URI on your own, we highly recommend that you do it. Secondly, once a DAO URI is available on chain, it provides easy access to information. For example, uh, when your DAO's treasury or main governance contract publishes a DAO URI on chain, that its DAO URI is now linked to your DAO's main governance contract or treasury. The DAO URI can also be linked to all other contracts published in your contract registry. So now there is an on-chain record or an on-chain relation between your DAO's contracts and a string that provides more context on your DAO. This is very powerful, as you'll see soon. So we recommend using the registration factory as much as you can. So what I just described to you in the last 10 minutes or so is the technical pathway for adopting EIP 4024. Operationally, things might be a bit different because every DAO has a governance process and more than one person needs to be convinced of EIP 4024 and decide to adopt it. So we typically recommend that every DAO identifies an internal champion. This could be a working group within the DAO or a core contributor to the DAO or a delegate to the DAO or just simply anybody. Once this internal champion is identified, this person can start obviously at this video by watching this video series, by going through our materials, by checking out all the other DAOs and governance frameworks that have adopted EIP 4024. There are a few of them. Once that is done, that person can present EIP 4824 to the community. This is typically a forum post. Now you do not need to create this forum post from scratch. If you go to snapshot and select 1inch and search for EIP 4824, you'll find the 4024 proposal that was posted on their forum. So you can utilize most of this proposal and also proposals at other DAOs like Shapeshift that have already adopted the standard. So you can essentially duplicate this proposal, change a few details, and present it to your community. And once that is done, it has to go through governance to trigger the transaction. So the few things or the conclusion that I want to leave you guys with is that it is actually incredibly easy to adopt EIP 4024. All you need to do is create a DAO URI, and once you have it, publish it on chain. DAOstar, funded by the Ethereum Foundation, the Optimism Collective, the Arbitrum Foundation, the ENS DAO, and many other members of DAOstar 1, is ready to provide assistance to you in any step of the process. This could include creating or helping you create a DAO URI for your DAO, help you think through the process and provide any technical assistance required, and anything else that you might require in the process. So we are here to help. Feel free to reach out to us for any questions. You can reach out over Telegram. The Telegram contact details are provided in the first slide. You can reach out to me, Josh, or Johnny at any time, and we are here to help you. We look forward to your DAO adopting EIP 4024 and enjoying and looking at its DAO URI. Thank you for listening to this video series. See you in the next video. Take care.